more information on the Voice of San Joaquin, go to tvosj.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS The Voice of Stockton or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
Good afternoon and welcome San Joaquin to another exciting episode of Tales and Tips. I'm so happy to have with me several members from Sunrise Rotary. We have Dr. Bob Melrose, we have Gary Giovanetti and Nancy Slatton, and we're going to talk about all the exciting events that Sunrise Rotary offers to the community and what makes their organization so special. Nancy, I'm going to start with you because you're here on my right. Tell me, how long have you been a member of Sunrise Rotary?
Probably about 30 years.
Wow, that's a long time. That's impressive. And obviously it's meaningful to you if you've been willing to dedicate that much of your time to Rotary. Why Rotary and why the Sunrise Group?
Well, somebody asked me at a Sunrise when we had our wine tasting out at the Bird Sanctuary which Rotary I was in, and she invited me to be in Stockton Sunrise Rotary, and I'm not a morning person, but it's a morning meeting, and I've been doing it forever, and I love it. It's fun. They do good in the community. They do good in the world, and an awfully lot of it is because it's fun.
And that's awesome, because when you can pair fun with doing things in the community, then it doesn't become work. It's just fun.
That's right.
So that's awesome. And a lot of people want to participate and be a part of it. And you mentioned an event that I loved that was a cornerstone for your club for many years, the wine tasting at the Bird Sanctuary at Gillis Grove, and it was phenomenal. That was a huge trademark that you had in the community, and you guys have moved on and you're still doing magnificent things. Gary, let's go to you. How long have you been a member of Sunrise Rotary, and why Rotary, why Sunrise?
Since 1980, and I kind of followed my father's lead. He was charter president for one of the other clubs in town. At that time it was called Stockton East Rotary, and they've since changed their name to Pacific Rotary. But he was when that club got started, and I think that was probably in 1970. I was living in Stockton at the time, but I moved back around 1980 and got asked to join Rotary, and been there ever since.
All right, and Bob, same question for you, and I'd also like you to mention the other clubs that currently exist in Stockton for Rotary as well.
Oh, you bet. I joined in 1995. I was talking with a patient of mine who was having LASIK eye surgery, and he was commenting about what Rotary was. And he started to tell me about all the work that Rotary has done in the world to get rid of polio. And that really grabbed me. I thought that any organization that can take on a project like that is worth investigating. So he asked me to come to a meeting, again, Tuesday mornings, and after one meeting I was hooked.
Awesome, awesome. And you meet Tuesday where and at what time?
Brookside Country Club, and the meetings, we meet about 7:15. The meetings start at 7:30, and we always have people out by 8:30.
Awesome. And if someone that's watching or listening is interested in joining, how do they reach out to your club? How do they join?
We have a website that they can contact, but also if they just want to stop by on a Tuesday and just say that they're there as a guest, we'd be more than happy to welcome them. This coming Tuesday, though, would be a bad time. We're going to be dark that day. We're having a little social over at Valley Brew. So we'll be there that evening. But if anyone want to stop by for that, we'd be happy to have them there, too. It starts about 6 o'clock.
Awesome. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. It used to be, in my experience, that you had to know someone. You had to be asked, like you mentioned, to be able to be a member. And it sounds like we're moving away from that, at least in your club, which is wonderful.
Yeah, we do ask people, but if someone shows an interest, that's the easiest way to get to know them. And many times that's how we decide, this is a good person. Let's go ahead and ask them to join.
Great, awesome. And who would like to talk about the other clubs so that people that are listening, maybe they can't make that meeting on Tuesday morning. What are the other club offerings?
Tuesday at noon at Brookside is North Stockton Rotary, and on Wednesday is your Rotary, the big Rotary as they call it, at Stockton Country Club. And that's the original Rotary, and it is Rotary number 92 which is amazing. And then on Friday at Pacific Bowl is
West Lane Bowl.
West Lane Bowl. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
West Lane Bowl is Stockton Pacific, and the other three are all noon clubs.
Then we also have a Stockton Central Club that
That's
meets
the
on
new
Friday.
one.
Yeah, that meets on Friday nights. They have a meeting place up on off of Thornton Road, and they have a little near the lodge up there, the Elks Lodge.
Awesome. And Rotary Club of Stockton just celebrated 105 years. Congratulations. That's awesome. And now I've actually transferred to Rotary Club of Lodi, but it's amazing to see all the things that the different clubs are doing. And I have to congratulate all of the Rotary clubs because this year it seems like you're doing more activities together. There's been activities at the port, there's been activities at the hockey rink, and it's really great to me to see a unified effort in creating peace and doing good in the community and in the world.
That's been a big push for Rotary, especially in our area. We've always done a all-city Thanksgiving luncheon where all the clubs get together, but enough people got together to finally say, you know, we're stronger together than we are apart.
Definitely.
And so we're doing more and more activities as a citywide to encourage that. And the goal is everyone understands now that if someone wants to be a part of this, you know, philanthropic organization, but their schedule doesn't allow them to meet on the day your club happens to, far better to get them plugged into a club they can go to than to lose them to the good of the cause.
Definitely. And how do you feel, and anyone can take this, how do you feel Rotary differs from Lions or Kiwanis or any of the other service clubs?
Oh, we don't want to brag.
Yes, you do.
Well, I've never been a Kiwanis or a Lion, so I really don't know. I just know that our worldwide Rotary Club does an awfully lot for an awfully lot of people who need an awfully lot.
You do. And it's not just polio that you mentioned. There's water projects. There's other projects. I can tell you, because I'm a Lion as well, that the footprint that the Rotary Club of Stockton has with helping other nonprofits is much bigger. They are able to donate money to multiple organizations and help them extend the good that they're doing. Lions is small. We're not able to do that. We might have a bigger footprint going to barbecues and different events, but we're not able to help on that level. I think that's changed over the time. Lions does help with vision and hearing issues worldwide, and so we're international as well. But I think Rotary is just a bigger group and has a bigger effect.
I think the polio thing is what I think separates Rotary from all the other organizations. Of course, polio has been gone from the United States for decades, but back in 1985, there were still 375,000 people a year being paralyzed by the disease worldwide. And that's when Rotary International got together and said, you know, we should do something. Why don't we rid the world of polio? And they started to get the people on the ground with the vaccines and started town by town, street by street, house by house, immunizing the world. And they have, because of their efforts, the CDC tells us that without Rotary, the CDC probably wouldn't exist. They were put in charge to find a solution to malaria.
Amazing.
And once that was done, polio came around with Rotary, and they said, if you guys hadn't have been there, we might not even be here anymore. But my wife said something very interesting to me on one of our conventions. She said, you know, the sheer audacity of an organization to say, we can rid the world of polio. Only one other disease, only one other virus has been removed from the world, which is smallpox. She goes, you guys had the audacity to say that in 1985, and you're doing it. And the quote I love with it is that when we get this done, it's only in 2 countries right now, Afghanistan and Pakistan, for the wild virus. And when we can rid it in those 2 countries, it'll be, as I mentioned before, only the second disease that ever got eradicated from the planet. And we did it in our spare time.
In our spare time, which is awesome. And it's a lot of time. It's not just a tiny amount of time. Lots of trips, and I know you've been on trips inoculating people. How do you feel about what's happening with measles right now?
It's a crime. it's an absolute crime that measles is being allowed to get another footprint back into the United States.
It's scary to me. It's in, I think, 23 states now, and my fear is if measles can come back to the U.S., then polio can come back to
They
the
always say
US.
polio is one plane flight away. If someone has polio, comes to the United States, we've got an epidemic on our hands.
And measles are so contagious. I've been told that someone with measles can leave a room, and 2 hours, up to 2 hours later, somebody can catch the disease. It's just incredible, and I do believe it is a crime.
Totally agreed.
And it's really sad because I feel like there's so much misinformation, and not to say that vaccines are perfect and there aren't side effects, but compared to these diseases that can be very deadly, you can't, it's so uneven.
Well, the major research that was done a couple of decades ago by a doctor to say that the vaccine causes autism has been shown to be and proven to be an absolute fabrication. This
That was in
doctor,
Lancet.
yep, this doctor had a alternative vaccine that he wanted to use. He had already gotten in bed with a pharmaceutical company, and he was trying to create a market so that he could get rich. And that piece of information that he put out, his paper, which was no research in it, completely made up, has been the cornerstone for the anti-vaccine movement.
And it could destroy the world.
It could.
Something like that. One paper, one document.
Yep, all for greed.
Horrible. All right. Well, let's go on to more positive things. I'd like to hear from each of you somewhere that you've traveled with Rotary, what you've done in Rotary in terms of what positions you've held, and what's been the most meaningful thing to you about Rotary. Let's start with you, Nancy.
Well, the most meaningful thing to me is what we have been doing for the last 7 years. We decided that nobody was being good to our soldiers, so we started a Christmas party for the National Guard, and we have served anywhere from 200 to probably 300 children with toys, a Santa Claus, pictures, turkey dinner, the soldiers and their spouses, families. What have I forgotten?
We have dancing available. We have horse and carriage rides available
yeah.
for them.
Awesome.
And that's 200 to 300. Those numbers are per year.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so we plan on at least 700.
Wow.
And then the Reynoldses bring their horse and trailer, and they have fun with that. The Rusty Rockers. Steve Johnson, he used to be a police officer in Stockton. He brings his band down from the San Andreas area, and they play old-time Rusty Rocker music. And the kids dance, the people dance.
Awesome.
And
And the first time we did it, the number of soldiers that walked up to us and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you don't do these things for the thank you, but it was very touching. But one of the soldiers walked up to one of our members and said, you're the first organization that's ever wanted to do anything for us.
That's awesome. And they
And-
wouldn't have had a Christmas
Right.
without you guys. a
Without
lot of those
us, they would
kids.
have to throw it for themselves, and of course they never did. And it's one of the rare times that the spouses of the soldiers have a chance to get together, and these men and women say, our spouses and our families finally see why they have to sacrifice being away from one of their parents so many weekends a year, and it means a lot to them.
Beautiful.
also the Patriot Guard Riders, who ended up being one of our, Matt Golden was his name, he was also a Stockton cop, through Bob and his eye checkup, told us that he was trying to get some money for him, and we just immediately said, okay, we've got a project.
Awesome.
Matt passed away a few years ago from cancer, but we've named the event the Matt Golden Christmas Contact every year to honor him, because he really was the moving force behind this.
Beautiful.
And the combat veterans, can't forget them.
It's quite the envy from other National Guard divisions that
Yeah.
we've heard, that nobody's doing anything for them, and these group of men and women get a real special treat that they truly appreciate.
Beautiful. And I'm sure their kids, that's something that they'll never forget. Where else are you going to get to ride in a horse-drawn carriage? And that's awesome.
And they are all very polite, all dressed up in they're just adorable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I think I've seen pictures of you guys going shopping for the Christmas presents and wrapping them. That's awesome. And what offices have you held in Sunrise Rotary?
What haven't you held?
Twice, president twice. I was just president last year and president about 20 some years ago. And obviously, everything.
Everything?
Yeah, just about everything. Except I don't do computer.
Okay. And where have you traveled to with Rotary? What
Not
what
very
traveling
far.
projects? Not very far.
One of my favorite things to doing was a Camp Ryla, which is the Rotary Leadership Academy, and that's where I met you.
Yeah, you and I were there together a couple times.
Yep. and you would go into a cabin, and you would have 10 or so kids under you, and they had speakers, and they had to learn how to work with one another.
These were the top juniors in all the
Mhm.
local high schools. The
And
leaders, future leaders.
They all come and they don't know anybody, but by the end of the 3 days, it's over President's Day weekend. By the end of the weekend, everybody is friends forever. They have learned how to work with other kids to lead things, and had a lot of great speakers. It's a wonderful, wonderful camp.
How many times have you done that?
I think I did it 4 times.
I've done it twice. All right, Gary, let's move on to you.
I've been president twice. I'm currently treasurer. One of the other projects we do locally is with Pittman Elementary.
Oh, awesome.
We have a student of the month, or 2 students of the month that we recognize every month. And for those students that are showing progress in their studies,
Great.
we donate $4,000 a year to send kids to science camp. The Pittman Elementary as a whole is a very underprivileged school.
Underserved,
And
definitely.
there's a lot of parents who can't afford to send their kids to camp, and some of these kids have never seen the ocean before. On a travel basis, I was president in 1989, and the international conference was in Korea, Seoul, Korea.
Wow.
And historically, there were a lot of bad feelings and bad history between Korea and Japan. Japan had really wanted to try to take over Korea, and this was the first conference that there were delegations from both Japan and Korea that attended. But the most remarkable aspect was how everybody was a friend. Everybody was joined by this concept of Rotary, and in their natural apparel, whether it be Africa, whether it be China, anywhere you went, there was this commonality that was really overwhelming.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that was quite an experience.
Beautiful. Awesome. And for you, Bob?
I've been, let's see, I have been to several places with Rotary, especially in the last 6-7 years. I too went to South Korea when I was president the second time. I've been president twice of the club, and in charge of our foundation, our charitable giving portion of it for many, many years. But went to Seoul, Korea as president a few years ago, but then I've also been to Chile to help deliver wheelchairs for people along from the bottom of Chile down in Punta Arenas all the way up to Santiago. I've been able to go to Pakistan for a immunization trip. That was just last year. To the Philippines last year also to see what we can do. But through the Rotary conventions, I've also been to Toronto. I'm going to Hamburg in about 3 weeks. We also went to Atlanta. So to several of these activities. And I agree with Gary. When you go to these places and people show up, and there are thousands of them, Rotaries in 220 countries in the world, and the people show up and they're smiling and they're happy and you become a new best friend. I was getting a glass of wine for my wife, and I'm talking to someone from Britain, Australia, and Kenya about what's going on in their parts of the world with
Wow.
Rotary, and you would think that you all went to school together and we're all related.
Awesome.
It's an
And
amazing time.
sometimes in these instances, aren't you staying in people's homes as well?
When I went to Pakistan and to the Philippines, yes. When you go to the conventions, you're normally
Amazing.
staying in a hotel. But these other trips that you can go on, you do end up staying in their homes. And it's very, it's a wonderful way to travel because you get a chance to actually live as they live. And
Live
it's,
the culture.
absolutely, it's amazing.
That's beautiful. That's awesome. And I thank you for mentioning that's in 220 countries. That's pretty amazing when you consider how many other organizations can say that they have branches in all of those different places. And it just reiterates the importance of Rotary and how welcomed Rotary is in the world.
Are there 1,200,000 clubs?
Yeah, 1.2 million Rotarians in the world.
Oh, Rotarians, okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And growing.
And
Hopefully and growing. That's the challenge now that all of the service clubs are having, is to maintain membership. Let's talk about that. I'd like to hear from each of you, how can we continue to grow Rotary so that it doesn't disintegrate?
We need younger people. And we're getting some, which is great. I guess just
Yeah, some of the rules that
Oh.
predominated membership, meaning there had to be exclusivity with the occupation, that has kind of gone away. There used to be a minimum attendance requirement, and that has kind of gone away.
There's evening meetings now. I know Rotary Club of
Right.
Stockton is doing that. You mentioned you're doing that once a month.
In the
In the
morning,
event.
I used to be in a club that we met at noon on Mondays, and our club, the membership declined to the point that we decided to join forces with Stockton Sunrise Rotary. And I find the morning club is so much more beneficial because it doesn't interrupt your whole day.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that if someone is interested, they could check with Brookside Country Club to double check if we're actually having a meeting, because there's times when we have other functions going on. But if someone wants to come and see how our club operates, the breakfast is free, and we'll do that for 3 consecutive
Wow.
visits, and then we start twisting arms.
That's pretty awesome, though, that you do that for 3 meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have one of you talk about your upcoming bowling event, Rotary Pins Community Wins.
our member Darlene Henson is in charge of that. She does a fantastic job. We have it at Pacific Bowl. It's in October, I think, the 27th or
Yeah,
something like
last
that.
weekend of the month.
And we get teams of 5. Everybody has fun. There's food and prizes, and obviously we're a fundraising. So we have little baskets of things that you can bid on, or all kinds of little things, so everybody has a good time. It's quite reasonable. We're always looking for sponsors. And
If someone wants to sponsor, how can they reach you? Or if someone wants to have a team or donate a raffle item?
I would suggest we go either on our Facebook or our website.
Okay.
We do have Facebook.
Yep, our Facebook page would be the easiest way.
Sunrise Rotary.
Yep.
And what's your website?
StocktonSunrise.org.
Awesome. And is there a specific project that you target those funds for from the bowling?
A
A little bit of everything.
little bit of everything. We're self-sustaining as far as dues and things like that to keep the club running. All of our fundraising activities go back into doing the party for the soldiers, Pittman scholarships, things like that.
Awesome.
We recently donated money to the Community Blind Center. We've given to
You
the
give
Women's.
grants
Yep.
also?
Yep, we've given grants to the Women's Center, the Symphony Guild. There's a variety of them that's on our
Animal
website.
Protection League.
Yep, absolutely. So
One of our members' home office is in Chico.
Oh,
And a lot of the fellow employees were affected by Paradise.
wow.
And so we give money to those kinds of functions.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we also have a scholarship at Delta College for $1,000. And we recently gave $1,000 to an organization called Tail Waggers. I don't recall the school. Do you remember what the school is? Anyway, the
Richard
idea.
Rogers'
Yeah.
school.
Richard.
The idea is that people bring their dogs with them and then read to the students. And
Wonderful.
it's a great activity.
And we also replaced all the dead trees at the Barclayville.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's huge. Wonderful. All right. Earlier, Bob, you talked about the wheelchair project. I have not had the fortune to be able to go to one of those events, but I'd like you to talk about how the people getting the wheelchairs, what it means to them, and the whole process of how that works and how life-changing it is.
It's phenomenal. There's two basic wheelchair operations that go within the district that we have for Rotary. The one I went on going to Chile, they were giving out standard wheelchairs to people that the Chilean Rotary clubs knew needed them. And the gentleman that got on his and immediately popped a wheelie and was just smiling like no tomorrow was amazing. But also the women's house that we went to, that they had given up. They'd given up getting a wheelchair, but they'd been waiting for over a year. And they were going to get a mortgage on their home to get the $150 it would take to get
Wow.
a wheelchair. And we showed up, gave her chair. She starts crying. We start crying. She then wants to feed us, wants to take care of us, things like that. But she had not left her house for 5 years.
Wow.
So it gives people life again. The Hope Haven group that is works out of Modesto through the district, they go out and they take it one step further. They find kids that have very specific needs, physical handicaps, and tailor those wheelchairs
Chairs
exactly
to
to their needs. And they've just finished one in Mexico just recently, but they do phenomenal work also.
Philip Sherwood, who's the current president of the Rotary Club of Lodi, was telling a similar story, and it changes people's lives, and you don't realize something that we take for granted that's easy to come by, and it's not, for most people here in the U.S., it's not a huge money outlay. It doesn't represent mortgaging their home to be able to get something like that, and you don't understand what it means to people in other countries and how little they have and how hard it would be for them to have this if Rotary wasn't doing it. And we should give a shout out to Dr. Joe Serra, because he's been a very integral part of getting the wheelchairs.
He's been a saint.
Yeah.
All right. So what haven't we covered? What else do we want to talk about your club specifically, or Rotary in general, either?
The one thing I want to make sure people understand about Rotary is, and we even have a page on our website about this, Rotary isn't a bunch of fat, bald white men sitting around smoking cigars, drinking scotch, and cutting business deals. It isn't that. It's multinational. It is, I think we're now up to 40% women in Rotary, some huge amount. It's all over the world, all different people. It is so far from that that's just a misconception. I think that's one of the reasons young people don't want to join it, because they have that image in their mind of what that is. It's not expensive. Dues are about $150 a year. You pay for your breakfasts, and then if there's a foundation we give to that funds all the international projects. We'd like people to give anywhere from $25 on up to be able to help with that. It's a great way to know what's happening in your community. We have speakers every week that come in and tell us what's happening within the Stockton, Lodi, and then San Joaquin County area. It's not boring. We have a lot of fun. And you don't have to be, and when people say, I don't have time, Gary had touched on this. We meet at, when meeting starts at 7:30, you'll be up at 8:30, and if you don't have to drive to the Bay Area, you'll be at work by 8:45.
And I think something that's really important, I'm sorry, Gary, you were going to say something that both you and Gary had said, is that Rotary is shifting. It's not your grandfather's Rotary Club. It's not what you said. And in Lodi, we even have a satellite club for people that want a faster meeting. Maybe they don't want a song or they don't want to hear a lecture. To me, I love the lectures because I feel like I learned something about something relevant to the community. But there's even an online Rotary. So there's different opportunities to be a Rotary member that will meet what your needs are.
Yeah, what I was going to say is there might be a natural hesitancy for people to say, well, I don't want to really get involved. I'll get obligated to do stuff. You know, my life is here, my life is there. Our club in particular is really not that way. We're a really fun group. We do have a lot of fun. You don't have to feel as though that you're going to have this major commitment of your time and efforts and money and so forth. But if you do want to give back to your community, if you do want to give of yourself to whatever level is possible for you, this is just a great avenue, and it's easy.
I totally agree. I like to say that our club is the fun club.
I like that.
Well, I think so. Even though, you know, everybody picks on me because I'm old.
Yeah. You're not old. Just because you babysat Abraham Lincoln doesn't make you old. So.
How many members?
I get stuff like this all the time.
You kind of asked for that.
No, but I know, but I do know how to give it back.
Yes.
I believe that. I've seen that.
Yes, but we're live
I've
on
seen
radio,
in
so you
action.
can't use those words.
How many members are there in your club?
25.
Yeah.
Just about to put in our 26th.
Yep.
And if each of you could share with me a vision of where you would like to see your club in 5 years, and maybe some other projects, some other avenues you'd like to participate in.
Ooh, point to Bob. Okay. Obviously, I'd like to see us grow. I'd like to see us get a younger presence in the club, too. I would like to see us coordinate with the other Rotary clubs in Stockton even better. There's so many projects that we could do on a grander scale that would allow us to make improvements here for Stockton. Just recently, the World of Wonders Museum came out, and there's some things that they need. And I would love to see us get involved with them.
Awesome.
It takes more than a single club to be able to do that.
Definitely.
But there's some very worthwhile things happening in the area. And internationally, I want to see, in 5 years, I want to see polio gone. And then I want to see that what Rotary is looking at taking on next is clean water for the world. And
Which is
we
fundamental.
and we may have the audacity to say we'll do that too.
That would be awesome. That would be amazing because it's needed, and we could prevent so many diseases with that effort.
I would like to say one thing that we do, we try to do every month or 6 weeks, as we will have an off-site meeting. We had one off-site meeting at RTD. The Regional Transit District was very interesting. We had one out at the port. We go various places, and everybody knows ahead of time, and so they head there instead. But we have had some very nice off-site meetings also. So,
And we have some fun parties too.
yes, we do.
Awesome.
Yes, we do.
That actually leads into the next question I was going to ask you. So you have 25 members, and I know in my experience with Rotary Club of Stockton, I feel like several of the members are like family. And especially, I'm going to
Definitely.
ask you, Nancy, how do you feel?
They are my family. I would love to have had Mary Laughlin here. She is our
She's
current
amazing.
president, but she's had surgery and is not able to get around. So, but we are family, and especially for me, a single person, it's kind of fun.
Awesome. And I really like earlier what Gary said, and that's been my experience too. Rotary is what you make of it. If you don't have a lot of time to commit to a lot of events, you're not super pressured to do that. But if you're interested in doing that, there's so many different activities that you could become involved with, and not just with the particular club that you're a member. Through the branching out, you could participate. I was really happy to see North Rotary for the second year had their books, bands, and barbecue. And there were Rotary Club members from many different clubs supporting that. And it gives back books to the children in our community. And so it was a great event. And I'm loving the unity. And I like what you said, that you'd like to see that expand more into projects. All right.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, Stockton Pacific is having their fundraiser, I think, either this weekend or next weekend at the Windmill Farm on Waterloo Road.
I believe next weekend. Yeah.
Do we know what it's called?
I don't know, but they have it there every year, and
Okay.
it's fun. They have a little band, and they have obviously food and wine and
Awesome.
stuff.
So Stockton Pacific probably has a Facebook page,
Yep.
something Stockton Pacific.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you for mentioning that. That's excellent. Any last comments from any of you about Rotary?
To me, Rotary gives you the chance to be a part of something greater than yourself.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Well said.
Totally agreed.
And let's repeat your contact information, your website, Facebook page, and when you meet, where you meet.
Yeah, so Brookside Country Club on Tuesdays, but we start arriving about 7 o'clock, and you'll be out by 8:30. Stockton Sunrise Rotary is our Facebook page, and StocktonSunrise.org. Let me check that, because I don't think the word Rotary is in it. Keep talking so I
I
look
don't
like I
think
know
so
what I'm
either.
doing.
I think it's just Stockton Sunrise.
Yeah, .org. Yep, on the our website, and lots of links there to see who's involved, what we do, where our money goes, and the fun we have.
Great. And any other fundraisers besides the bowling?
Right now, we're pretty much concentrating on that one. You know,
Okay.
we'd rather do one larger fundraiser than dozens of small ones, because we find that it's more respectful to members' time, and it works.
Awesome. And let's just touch on one more topic, peace. I know Rotary Club of Stockton recently put a peace pole this week into a school. And I know there's a couple others. I know at a sporting event, several Rotarians from different clubs came out and formed peace. Were any of you at that? Do you want
Mhm.
to talk about
Yep.
that?
Yeah.
I think-
We all were.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mr. Hot Dog Cooker.
Yeah, it was quite warm, but it was interesting. We had a drone fly over and take pictures of us all making the peace sign, and there must have been 100 people there, which was pretty interesting.
Wonderful.
And the plan is to
Awesome.
do it again this year.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. And what did that symbolize, to have so many Rotarians at one location forming a peace symbol? What do you think that meant? How did it affect you?
Well, I enjoyed it because it's a worldwide organization, and we would like to have world peace.
Definitely.
Yeah, it definitely symbolizes a positiveness.
And bringing all of the clubs together to show that we're a unified force. We're not individual clubs scrapping at each other.
Definitely. And to me, what I love about it is, yes, I know that there was effort to organize the event and there was some costs, but in terms of raising money, it wasn't expensive to do that, and it's something that other cities can do, and they can duplicate it, and it just gives an overall unity.
There was quite a bit of food left over, and so we went over to the St. Mary's
Yay!
and delivered an awfully lot of hot dogs
Beautiful.
and buns and chips and all of that. And
Great.
And we've done the same thing at the end of the National Guard party too. Whatever leftover food, we go right over and donate it to the homeless shelters.
Great. So the community benefits.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. The need is great.
And that's sad.
Well, but it's going to take organizations like Rotary and others working together. We can't rely on government to fix everything. I really think that the impact that local nonprofits can have is huge.
Agreed.
And we have respect for all the nonprofits. I mean, everything that people do. I've often thought for years, I wish the record would have the manpower to do this, but For years I've thought, if we took all the nonprofit organizations, all the hours we put in to do things, all the money that's raised and distributed, et cetera, and just ascribe minimum wage to it, what a huge unseen, underappreciated, unknown economy that is in our area. So many people these days, we're so inundated with negativity on our media and our news and everything else. I'm not saying the record, just in general.
In general.
And so many people think that everyone's out for themselves. No one cares about anyone. That is so far from the truth.
And especially in our community and through Rotary, I've met amazing people that are doing phenomenal things to make a difference every day. They're unsung heroes. That's why I love the radio station, and that's why I'm doing this show. We want to highlight so that people know that there's more to Stockton than what you hear on the news. There is a strong group of people that genuinely care and want to make things better for as many people or animals or whomever as possible.
Yep.
All right. Something very powerful, very strong and positive as an ending note. All right, and with that, I'm going to sign off. I am the voice of San Joaquin. You are the voice of San Joaquin. We are the voice of San Joaquin. Let's make it a great day.